This next person has written in and said, I always felt the Powers of Pain and Hercules should have got a bigger push back then, but nothing could ever rival Hulkamania. So I'm actually going to add on to this and say this leads me to this question. In a company full of body guys, do you think there was any like rivalry or, other body guys looking at you, and maybe thinking, oh man, he's really big, and sort of judging you purely on size, or maybe even a bit of jealousy between the body guys? Is that something I'm making up in my head, or is that something in reality?
No, I'm sure there was. It's like any sport. It's like bodybuilding and everything else and that stuff, There's always animosity when it comes to somebody might be bigger, better, look better, and everything else and that stuff, but you just kind of kept it to yourself and that, and it's the way the business is.
Well, you can only control your own destiny in that sense.
That's right. Yep.
Now, quite a lot of fans have written in because they want to know, bodybuilding stuff as well, and comparisons with other wrestlers. This fella says, "How big were yours, Barbarians, and Ultimate Warrior's arms in 1989? And did they ever work? Well, did they ever work out together? And what were their lifts?" But comparing arms and size and all that kind of thing.
I had the biggest arms. Warrior was just shredded. His arms weren't really that big. He was just shredded. I mean, he looked incredible. Barb's arms were big. Barb had humongous triceps. Huge triceps.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
when they were a tag team, Warlord and Barbarian. I don't know about Warlord making Barbarian look small, but I think Warlord was a lot taller too, because he was I don't know, 6'5" or 6'6". Warlord was huge back then. I mean, Barbarian ain't small, but his Warlord was huge. I know people were saying Demolition was supposed to be like the new or WWS version of the Road Warriors. So I was like, the Powers of Pain again look more like the Road Warriors than Demolition, because they had the crazy haircuts, the similar paint, and then the trunks and the boots. The only thing they was missing was the shoulder spikes.
We weren't really, the only one that kind of got into the arms thing was the Animal Meat. We'd always joke about it, who had the bigger arms and that stuff all the time, But it's, I really couldn't tell you much more than that. Just we just enjoyed training.
Now, this person's already said, but you pretty much answered it. Did you ever work out alongside the Ultimate Warrior, and any stories of Ultimate Warrior?
I never worked out with Jimmy. Jimmy always trained on his own. Jimmy was Jimmy. He did his own thing, and that's why I loved him for it, because he didn't, he didn't bother anybody. He just did his own thing. Probably the story I'd have one time was we couldn't get any food or anything else and that stuff, and he was all pissed off, and so he had a big, huge bottle of aminos, and he just opened his mouth and just started dumping the aminos into his mouth. I can't take this anymore. I gotta eat. I'm just gonna eat these aminos. I'm just gonna keep shoving them down my throat, and just water and aminos, water and aminos. I mean, that's the way Jimmy was. Jimmy was a fanatic. He was.
Now, I ask quite a lot of people about Ultimate Warrior because people love Ultimate Warrior stories, and depending on the person,
I pick at him now.
Really loved him to really didn't love him, and stories of also him knocking out quite a lot of jobbers seems to come out quite a lot as well. But I know for a fact that you're a big fan of Jim Ultimate Warrior. Why is that? Is he mostly misunderstood?
I believe he's misunderstood. The Jimmy I knew was very, very nice, very, very giving. Everything else and that stuff, listen, people say good and they say bad about Jimmy, and everybody has their own opinion, but like I said, the Jimmy I was around, I got along with great, and I love Jimmy. I love being with him.
Was he the guy who would blow up the quickest?
Yeah, but when you got to do what he did,
he admitted that about the running thing, because again, he has his own, which I'm surprised people can't already seen the shoot interview years and years and years and years ago, so reacting to it, even if I haven't seen it, that's like an hour and a half, so I'm not sitting there for an hour and a half, and then I reacted to some clips I had seen, I seen it. Yeah, I had it years ago when it first came out, after that self-destruction thing. But I'm glad finally somebody not up here just talking crazy about the man. It's like the man couldn't have been that bad. And then when he told his side of the story on his interview DVD, he would they would have things fixed one way, then they would get turned around, and then you wonder why he's frustrated and angry or whatever.
I tell you, you got to come out of that locker room, and you got to go from 0 to 100 just like that. And you got to run to that ring. You got to run around the ring. You got to jump up on the apron, back and forth in the apron, shaking those ropes, in the ring, shaking those ropes. Then hit the ropes inside. My God, it's just you've been sitting there the whole night. And also you got to go 0 to 100, and I would be blown up too. I'd be blown up.
How did you make sure that you didn't like get blown up in matches? Because you're even bigger than Jim was. So I mean, advice as far as basically like pacing a match and not killing yourself out there every night.
Exactly what you just said. You pace the match. If you start getting a little tired, you grab a hold. You grab a hold till you catch your breath and that stuff, and you go into another spot. And if you're a little tired, you grab a hold again. That's what you do.
One last thing about Warrior is that I believe he bought into a promotion in Las Vegas called NWC in 1995. Did he bring you guys in after he bought it?
No, never did. Never worked with Jimmy after that.
No?
I did one time on a European tour. I think it was in '93 or '94. But other than that, no, nothing with Jimmy.
Yeah, so getting back to the getting tired thing. The interviewer, not this guy, I'm talking about the Warrior interview, and he brought that up too. And Warrior was kind of being trying to pick at the guy, mess with the guy a little bit. He's like, yeah, you hear they say you're getting blown up and running to the ring. He's like, think about it. You want to do it? And the guy's like, no, I don't want to do it. He's like, all right then. Because he said that entrance was hell, which it was. When that music hit and he sprinted out to the ring, come on now, you got into it. When he came back at WrestleMania to help Hogan that time, that was something. So yeah, you got into it. And then he'd have different. Every night he'd have different face paint and different outfits and stuff. So you got into it. Like as far as like I said, like when those collectibles, those Warrior figures are worth so much money. The only one I got now was the Mattel or the Hasbro from a few years ago. But yeah, that's about it. But yeah, you got into it. So yeah, man. I'm glad making this video early in the morning. Whew. I'm glad Warlord wasn't picking at him. Said the man the man was all right. And like who else said the same thing with Ahmed, because the man didn't hang out and go this place and that place, which that means he's a funny person. No, the man he'd be by himself. Like the training by yourself thing, that's nothing new. A lot of people do that. They ain't going to the gym to talk. Talking, what do they say? Talking, drinking smoothies. Yeah, he's there to hit that iron and get the hell out of there. He's not up there to we'll talk about this and that about that. But yeah, it was good to finally see somebody not sitting there trying to pick, and and then and I think there was another interview with what's his name, Godfather. He was looking at the guy like, okay, you're not gonna get nothing from there, and because he wasn't picking at him. So yeah, but yeah, that was pretty good because in the Warlord, I don't remember, I probably missed it. Warlord wrestling Warrior or Barbarian, I probably missed it. It probably happened. I just never seen it. But it's probably on. Look, it's probably on YouTube somewhere. Check it out. But yeah, that's something.